Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Carrie and this is the first video of this kind I've ever made. Before I begin, I'd like to say a few things and also introduce myself, as I realized I've never narrated a video before, so I apologize for sounding nervous. As I said, my name is Carrie and I'm a full-time illustrator from Bulgaria. I currently live in England, in a town near the ocean, which I deeply love. I mostly post on my Instagram, which you'll see on the screen. And for any Bulgarians watching, you can click on the subtitles button and have Bulgarian subtitles. Hope you enjoy! Recently, I started a project drawing celestial beings such as the sun, the moon, and the rest of the planets as personas. The first drawing was the sun, and I got a lot of messages asking for the process video or some tips I might have for creating a drawing like this one. And I realized that this could actually fit very well in a video, so here we go. My first step, always, even with my previous drawings, the Zodiac Girls, is to talk it through with one of my closest friends, Eve. She is very much into astrology and astronomy. She kinda opened my eyes for these things, and thanks to her I fell in love. So I always ask her about my drawings that include any stars, planets or zodiacs. I'd ask for a few words to describe what I'm trying to draw. In this instance, it was the sun. I think the words she gave me were powerful, radiant, wild, and just overall, well, Beyonce. I have 5 tips for you and I hope they're useful. Tip number 1. Don't ignore Pinterest. I use it way more than Google, and in my experience it's way better. I know Pinterest can look messy the first time you log in, but that's mostly because the website doesn't know what you're looking for, so it just throws all random stuff at you. However, it has an amazing feature that I use for pretty much any drawing. Like for this one, I was looking for a golden dress, and as you can see, even if a pin you click on is not exactly what you're after, Pinterest will show you many more similar images, and you can pretty much bounce from one pin to another till you find exactly what you're looking for. I created a sun board and started filling it up with all sorts of images that portray what I'm trying to draw. And of course, I was looking for the perfect dress, the one that I felt a sun goddess would actually wear. I looked through fashion shows, runways, fashion collections, and in this instance I found 2 dresses that had a bit of what I had in mind. So I saved them both, as well as a headpiece and a face pose to get the proportions right. I then combined the whole thing in a messy looking collage in Procreate, taking bits from each reference image. Which leads me to my tip number 2. Don't be afraid to use references. I know a lot of artists have said this, but it's really important, especially when you're drawing something for the very first time, or you're unsure of how this particular thing should look like. You're really gonna see improvement when you follow reference images, as this will also make your reference library in your mind richer. That means that next time you have to draw the same thing or something similar, the previous experience working with the reference will come as a useful memory, and you'll just be a lot better. I then draw over the messy collage, creating my line art layer, and I push the reference to the side so I can still see it if I need it, but it's no longer intervening with my drawing process. I start with base colors, always making each main piece on a different layer. So for example, skin on a different layer, hair, base dress color, etc. Procreate has an uncomfortable limit of 22 layers, so I can't go above that even if I wanted to. That means that I have to work with that in mind and make sure I combine layers and leave out others when needed. After base colors are done, I usually lower the opacity of the line art layer even more, and we go to my next tip. Tip number 3. Work your layers. As I said, Procreate has a limit of 22, and I've gotten used to working on 2 layers for the same thing. In this case, I start with the face, working on 2 layers. One is skin base color, and the other is the details layer. On the skin layer, I do big shadows like under the chin, or I use a big brush to warm up the sides of the face. It's kind of like contouring, or maybe even bronzing. On the detail layers, I do facial features and more detailed shadows. I do eyes, nose, mouth, and as well as details such as freckles, lashes, moles, etc. I keep them both separate, and it's really useful because in case you need to delete part of the eye, for example, you won't remove any of the skin color underneath. Sometimes you can even create a layer above the whole thing. For example, for lashes, I do that because I suck at lashes the very first times. So I draw the lashes on a layer on top of everything else, and I combine them with the bottom layer after I'm happy with it. That gives me the control of deleting them as many times as I want without actually deleting the eye itself. After the face, I get on with the dress. This is where the reference comes handy, because I want to make sure it looks right, while also keeping my visions for it. The feathers had to look like they were made of gold, so that was a challenge. The skin, however, took the longest time, and it was an immense challenge, because it had to look flowy, glowing, golden, while still keeping its shape. It was a lot of repetition. I'd go over an area I've drawn over and over and over again, adding nuances and details as I go. Which leads me to my next tip, tip number 4. Have a special layer. This is simply a layer above all the others that has a special option added to it, and you can use it for special details, could be light effects, shadows, glowing, anything you really need. Throughout the whole drawing I had a layer set above it all with the option add on it, which makes colors glow. I use yellow color and I draw on this layer when I want a very strong shine, whatever the light hits. Then I use a smudge tool to make it softer. With the option add, it makes it glow so much more than with any other option, and it creates really pretty colors when smudged. After the skirt is done, I can relax with other details such as shoes and headpieces. And my tip number 5 is don't be afraid to try things and delete them if they don't work, or update your drawing on a later stage once you've gone away from it for a bit. I tested a lot of things in the process. In the previous version of the drawing, it had huge flames, as you can see in the back, or twice as much little light scattered around. When I first finished the piece, I was so happy with it that I posted it straight away. A few days later, while I was finishing the Mercury drawing, I was talking to my friend Eve and asked her if she looks Mercury enough. She laughed and said that the only way you could make it look more Mercury is if I actually put the Mercury planet behind her. As a joke, I tried it surprisingly, and I loved it so much I decided to go back and add the sun behind the sun girl, and the difference was immense. So yeah, this is my process of this piece and some tips and tricks I did in order to draw it. Let me know if this was useful down in the comments, like and subscribe, and if this all goes well, I'll do more videos in the future. Hopefully see you next time, bye bye!